Okay, so we're gonna make some high desert chocolate chip cookies with pecans. So I use it calls for about 2¼ cups of flour. I use 2½, and I might need to add more because this is high altitude baking. And then you have your salt, and which is about a ½ teaspoon, and a teaspoon of your baking soda. And inside here, you have 3/4 of a cup of white sugar and 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar, along with some vanilla. It's kind of hard to see the vanilla in here because it's so darn clear. It's some really good stuff from Mexico. 2 eggs. We have some pecans and chocolate chip cookies, chocolate chips. And there's 2 cups in each one. It doesn't call for that. I've added more. I like my cookies nutty. If you don't, cut it back. Now, the next part is the butter. Now, it's been in the fridge, well, in the freezer, chilling down, and this is one of the most important parts. They clack. They don't go squish. So nice and super cold butter. And it's important to have the cold butter, and I've washed my hands. It's important to have the cold butter. You don't want to separate the butter into different areas from the milk fat. So what we end up doing is I grate it really quick. It's looking good. Little pieces are a little tougher, but this is really important. You don't want to chop it up unless you can chop it up really fine. And you add that to the sugary mix, and in it goes. Stick number 2. Okay, stick number 2 is going in. All right. It doesn't take too much. If you leave it in the freezer too long, it starts to break apart, and that's not what you want. Because we're gonna have to put this in the blender. Okay, so now we have lots of butter. We have lots of sugar in there as well. So let's just kind of get the rest of this in there. There we go. So, and then we take it, we put it on the blender. But before we do that, we're gonna add the baking soda and the salt. Whisk this up with just a bit. We needed to add that in after this mixture's ready. Oops. It's looking good. So then we take this, come over here to the blender. All right, get it on, locked it in, set it at 1. It's not gonna take too long for it to do its thing. This is when I will add the vanilla, a teaspoon, and 2 eggs. And that will get it a lot more viscosity. Viscosity will be up quite a bit more. A lot more, you can see it kind of melding in there a little bit. But you don't want the butter to melt all the way. That's the key thing. So now, looking good. You can see it's all gooey. I'll stop it here, and it's just a gooey kind of mess. It's all kind of, together. Maybe a little bit more. Don't want to get that butter melted. Okay. So we'll start to add in the floury mixture. And we do it in just little pieces. Let it kind of get in there and do its thing. It's starting to become more liquidy again. Or less liquidy. As you beat it, we'll add more in now. We may need to have to add just a little bit more when we're done. We'll find out here. Now the blenders, the mixer's starting to labor a little bit more. We know we're getting into a right area. It's still too gooey and wet. So we're gonna add the rest of the flour in. And we'll see how that goes. That's better. Might not have to add some flour, but I'll let it beat in there just a little bit. Keep everything cool. Okay. Okay. We'll stop this. Pull it out. Now the thing is can you take this in your hand and ball it up and make a 50-gram ball? Because that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a 50-gram ball out of this stuff, and I don't know, it just doesn't, it looks like it's still a little bit wet. Yeah, just a little bit more flour. Just a whisker. I don't know, like about that much. So I guess that's another, quarter cup? Throw that in there. We'll see what happens now. It just has to get to that point where it's not sticky. In there. That's better. Okay, that looks really good. This is going to add the last portion of the ingredients. The chips. And I just put them all in. Perfect. Off you go. And in you go. Having a tough time down below getting into all that, the nuts that I put down in there, but I'll mix it up here a bit. Okay, this is looking pretty good. I can feel it. It's pretty solid. That's nice. So I'll take a chunk of this. I'm going to take this and just roll it into a ball. Yeah, that looks good. We're done. So now that we can roll this into a ball, we need to put this entire mixture in the freezer. Let it chill, do its thing. Okay. All right, going in the freezer. I like to freeze the dough for at least 15 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. Okay. So make sure to roll the balls up in 50-gram units. Bake it at 375 degrees for 16 minutes. And that should get them just a little gooey in the middle and a little crisp on the outside.